Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and I wanted to do a quick little discussion. It was kind of inspired by seeing Waggle's video called Hardcore in PoE2 is Ruined. And obviously I just did a podcast with Jonathan, and one of the things that I really wanted to ask you about was what is the current situation about portaling? And we can just listen to that, but yeah, I was watching Waggle's video, and yeah, it was a lot of interesting stuff. I also listened to like what a few other players like Ben was thinking, and yeah, I just wanted to like discussion around the state of hardcore. So we could just watch the clip here, or part of the video here, with me talking to Jonathan and me asking about portals.
And I think that probably was just a straight up improvement. There's been actually a few other changes we've made. Like, this is something probably people will never notice, but you can no longer swap your gear in the middle of a boss fight either. It was just a sort of stuff about it, and then that and stuff like that. But eventually we're just kind of like, you know what? Why are we even trying to do this? Let's just completely ban it, and then that and stuff like that.
Topic is
yeah, fair enough.
all right, here. The next topic is gonna be a bit of a longer one and a bit of a discussion. I want to talk about what the current state of portaling out at bosses is, and then talking a little bit about pausing and logging out as well.
Yeah. So basically, so you can't portal out of a boss fight. This was something that we tried for a while to make it so that you could portal out of boss fights, but with timers and stuff like that. But eventually we're just kind of like, you know what? Why are we even trying to do this? Let's just completely ban it, and then that way we don't have to worry about like all the potential kind of like rules and weird stuff about like, oh, you stand at this location, the boss can't hit you, like random stuff like that. Like, it just effectively removed a lot of potential exploits. And I think that probably was just a straight up improvement. There's been actually a few other changes we've made. Like, this is something probably people will never notice, but you can no longer swap your gear in the middle of a boss fight either. That's been now disallowed too. And like a few other things like this. Like, these are just things that, like, once again, people probably won't normally run into if they're not trying to do some kind of exploit, but effectively, like, we just want to make sure that, like, when you're actually in for a boss fight, you actually have like a proper experience. Like, you have to actually overcome the boss without some kind of weirder forms of cheese that you might otherwise try to do.
Now, at this point, I'm sitting there thinking, like, do you know, like, maybe I will play softcore, because what I don't love personally is the idea of that you need to be so over-prepared when playing hardcore that you're 100% sure you're not going to die. That's why I'm actually a fan of being able to exit the fight, but with penalties, like the boss going to full. But this is not what's happening. So I'll let you watch a little further. So what happens if, let's say that a hardcore player goes in, they get 60% through the fight, and they realize they can't do this? What happens if they log out and wait until the next day?
So you can always log out, like resurrect a checkpoint effectively, or like log out and just wait for time. So like, it's possible to get out of a boss fight, right? Like, you're not locked into that forever. So that being the case, like, if you know that you can't do it, you can get out. And this is sort of an interesting question, because I know there are people who are kind of be like, oh, it would be nice if, like, once you've decided to do something, you're kind of committed to that action. But I just think that we probably didn't want to really go down that path, because it would mean that, like, I feel like that would kind of probably feel a bit bad, I think.
Okay,
and, like, so the concern then,
yeah, and then we end up talking about that a little bit. And after thinking about it, this is a little bit too easy, and I agree with a lot of Waggle's points in his video. I think I pretty much, well, yeah, no, I pretty much completely end up aligning with Ben on this. So I'll talk about the differences there a little bit. But the way logout macro basically is in PoE2 is if you hit escape, you're safe instantly. Too safe. Like, it's paused, and you're so safe. There's no cooldown on this, by the way. There's no timer. It doesn't take 2 seconds to pause. It's just you hit escape, you're safe, paused. And on that menu, you can say resurrect a checkpoint, and it just removes you from the fight and resets it, or it loses you the boss set if it's something like you put in splinters for or whatever. So I very much agree with Waggle. This is too safe. I'm definitely in the camp that there should be a way to exit the fight. What I was hoping for, my ideal scenario, At least endgame bosses, you should not be able to pause on hardcore. I do see fun applications with it too, and I get that it's so nice to not be able to die to DCs. But I think for me, the ideal scenario is you cannot pause, and you have to do a 1 or 2 second channel, and then you're able to portal out. You're not able to portal back in, and if you do, the boss is like fully reset. I think there should be a penalty for leaving the boss fight or giving up. But the reason and I think everyone is against this that I've heard so far, but the reason I am against that you have to fully commit to a boss fight is it effectively makes the game less fun to play. What ends up happening, and we've seen this, is that you only go in when you are so sure that you are going to kill the fight, right? So you never end up dying because you just never take that risk. And that isn't particularly fun, right? Like we've seen this in like games like Valheim, for instance, and a few others, where you end up like giga over preparing, right? Or Terraria on hardcore, where every time I've been playing those games, and obviously you can play differently, but I don't find that particularly fun. But you could argue you could just to take the risk and then go die. But obviously, like, I want to try my best to beat the game, but I want the game to be able to beat me. Now, the reason, if you have a way to exit, the reason this becomes different, because there might be a lot of people that never play hardcore that are like, why don't you just play softcore? Like, you know, at least try to explain it to me, sis. And when you have the ability to leave, whether that's a logout macro or an in-game portal or anything, that means that you can go in, maybe even blind, you can go in and you're like, fuck, I know this boss is 3 stages or whatever. It's 60% through. I'm starting to go low on my life loss. I need to find an exit. I've gone in undercommitted, or like I've overcommitted, I guess. I'm just not ready for this boss fight. I need to try again later. You lose the boss fight, you lose the splinter, whatever, or the boss fully resets, depending on whether it's campaign or in-game. But you get to live another day. And I think that is a lot more fun gameplay. I've traditionally been a big fan of the logout macro, especially after Diablo 4. I do think PoE 2 has definitely the chance to do the perfect take on it. I definitely think it would be a better thing if it is an in-game thing, but I do think the pause is way too strong. I also think softcore is arguably too hard, but I'm not a softcore player, so it's not really up to me to care. I would just be caring on behalf of other people. But I've seen a lot of softcore players say like, man, I really don't want to lose a boss and lose all the splinters every time I die. I would maybe want multiple portals. I think I'm a fan of the boss fully resetting on death, but I still think you should get 6 portals, like 6 tries. On behalf of others, I'm not a big fan of them like only getting 1 shot at the boss in softcore. The reason for that, by the way, is because I feel that is going to encourage newer players to just sell the boss to streamers and no-lifers. Because why bother taking a loss on a fight when you can just sell it and not risk anything? And I do like it when people are able to learn the fights on their own. That's why I feel that way. But yeah, like I said, I would love to be able to portal out of boss fights at the cost of either losing the fight or resetting it. I don't want to be able to just hit escape and pause it. I do think this is infinitely better than just being able to commit and die. I think that's the worst choice. And I do see some fun applications with the pause, right? Because you can be going in a little bit early on hardcore, you pause and you're like, oh, I fucked up. Steal, help. Or like, you know, like if I get really good at bossing, I can be like, Zizaran's boss service. Car broke down? We'll be right there. Pick up the phone, hit like, it's gonna be great memes. Like I can literally like have people like, Ziz, I'm on 20% HP. Can you somehow save me? And I'll like, bro, I'll try. Unpause, invite me, and pause again. We'll see if we're still alive, and we're back in action. Like, that sounds like really fun content. It's just, again, ideal scenario for me would be able to leave the fight with a portal. Don't necessarily have to let people portal back in. I love the full reset and making, like, an actual choice there. But yeah, it's too easy to just hit escape and pause, I think. Then again, it is also like, I'm very open to just trying things in early access to see how it feels. And now that this is an in-game feature, like it's not a third-party thing, I am assuming that we will have no bitching about logout macro anymore. To be fair, I always thought it was really stupid. Like, people being hardcore elitist and shitting on softcore players for playing on softcore, so stupid. Softcore players doing the same thing and being like, oh, logout core, and now I guess it would be pause core. But like, just literally let people have fun the way they want if they're not breaking the TOS, you know? Like, nothing dumber than that. I am very, very curious, especially to my softcore players. How do you like about the fact that if you die one time to any boss, you are losing your entire investment? Is that too hardcore for you? Because I did see a lot of people were saying it was. Because that does mean that there isn't really an easy version of the game. You have medium core and you have hardcore. Which actually makes softcore a lot more appealing to me, by the way. For those that don't know why I play hardcore, it's actually kind of a bad thing to play as a streamer. You do get the benefit of people find it more exciting to watch, and people will flock to you when you get a rip clip. But with the downside of if you die, you might have really boring content for 5 to 10 days, and it might even ruin an entire league for you. I've had a few times where that has happened. But you can make so fun content. I would say, like, it's an idea like MP and Methyl can make so much unique, different content with more glass cannony builds, and on softcore you can make any build where you can sacrifice some defense, and you don't have to worry about every build being omega tanky. So you do get really cool content you can make in softcore. But yeah, very curious how you guys feel. The reason I love playing hardcore is that if I play softcore the way it is right now, like, everything is inevitable, right? The last time we did a softcore event, I had every Uber killed in 18 hours from a fresh start. And that was with some stipulations, making it slightly harder than normal. So, since I am such a no-lifer, like, hardcore becomes a lot more appealing because there it's not inevitable. But also now, like, it sounds a lot less inevitable. Like, dying once to a boss fight, like, that happens on softcore too, so... I don't know. Softcore could be spicy for me in PoE 2. We'll see. I definitely would continue playing PoE 1 hardcore. I think that's in a really good spot right now. I know a lot of people are saying about because of logout macro, they make PoE 1 so one-shotty. But I would say, like, seeing us in the last 3 leagues, I have 1 death every 600 or 700 hours played. I would argue that it really isn't that glass cannony. It's just your build is kind of bad for a lot of people. And it is hard to make a tanky build. But it really doesn't feel very one-shotty anymore. It is easy to say that with 26,000 hours, to be fair. But the game itself, pretty balanced. Very excited to see how PoE 2 will be. And again, I'm very open. I don't like need to open with bitching about anything until I've tried it. But I really wanted to hear a little bit of a discussion. What do you guys feel? I was listening to Ben as well. He said he definitely likes the idea of just being able to portal out or have a channel time on the exit to checkpoint instead of just like, you're safe. So very aligned there. But either way, let me know what you think of all of this. Thanks for watching. Try to pause less than I do. Subscribe!